Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you are fine, ladies. It took me such a long time to log in. I don't know what's the problem. So alhamdulillah, finally, we're here. Okay, so before we start, I just need to upload the material for today's lecture, inshallah. So if you just give me a few seconds to do this. Okay, ladies, you can see the slides, inshallah, dahin in front of you. So today's session, inshallah, will be about another very interesting topic of linguistics. I have no idea if you have come across this topic before, but it's very important, and it's really the application of this field is really very important, and it's growing, very quickly. So today, inshallah, we're going to have let's say, a very general overview of something called corpus linguistics. So, have you heard of corpus linguistics before? Have you discussed it in any one of the linguistic courses you have taken before? Okay, so I wanted actually to hear your voice, but it seems that maybe it's a new concept or term for you. Okay, so today, inshallah, as I said, we're going to discuss corpus linguistics. If we have more time, we would do some practical exercise together. But since we have started really late, I don't know if we still have time. Okay, so let's just have some theoretical information on this important field of linguistics. So, first of all, it is corpus linguistics. First of all, what do you think is corpus means? So, corpus, first of all, is a Latin word, and it means body. Okay, so it means body, like for example, we have an English word called corpse, and it means the body of a human being. So corpus linguistics, it is the linguistics of a body of something. Of course, not the body of humans, but it is the body of text. Okay, and the plural of corpus is corpora. So a corpus, first of all, we need to define what is corpus. A corpus is a collection of pieces of language, text. They can be spoken, they can be written. And in this collection, they are selected and ordered according to some linguistic criteria. And why they collected, why they keep this collection, the purpose of this is to be used as a sample of the language. So this definition is by Sinclair. So a corpus means a collection of pieces of language that are selected and ordered according to explicit linguistic criteria in order to be used as a sample of the language. So we have something called computer corpus. Again, it's a set of texts carefully sampled to represent language. Okay, so now we know what is corpus. Corpus, we don't mean the body of humans, but we mean the body of text, a body of a collection of language. Okay, so it's a collection of texts, whether spoken or written again. So what is corpus linguistics? Corpus linguistics is the study of language. So we look at language, we investigate language as expressed in samples, as expressed in the different corpora, as it's expressed in the different collections of texts. And these texts or collections or corpora, they are of real world. Okay, so it is taken from the real world. Okay, so here Tahani said, yes, you covered this in applied linguistics. Good. Okay. So corpus linguistics is the study of language by means of naturally occurring language samples. So we study language that is naturally occurring in samples. Text sample to be representative. Okay, so usually the text are very large collections, like 250,000 words, sometimes millions of words collected from people, like from teenagers, from conversation, from fiction, from blogs, from anywhere. Okay, they should be texts from natural sources. So the focus will be on the authentic, the real language used by ordinary speakers. Okay, so this is an empirical approach. In other words, this is an approach that we look at the language and we study it like in experiments. So it's empirical. We need to investigate. We have different tools, samples. We do some analysis, whether qualitative or quantitative. So we conduct studies and experiments. And the texts are digitized. In other words, they are not paper-based. They are digitized. They are in computers. They are found on the internet. So they are easily researchable. Okay? So how it started? Is corpus linguistics a new thing, or is it something old? So the beginning of actually corpus linguistics is quite old, actually. It's not a 100% new thing. So some of the earliest efforts at poetical description were based on corpora, particular religious or cultural texts. For example, in the Sanskrit literature, in the Indian literature, they used to describe the sound patterns of the old languages, Indian languages like the Sanskrit. So they used to look at the old scripts of the Vedas and other books, and they used to look at the sounds and then analyze the different texts to Okay, I'm sorry for the sound. Okay. Okay, so how can a corpus help us? How can a corpus, again ladies, I said a corpus is a collection of texts based on naturally occurring language. Okay, so they collect texts, and the text can be of different kinds. They can collect texts from fiction, they can collect texts from conversations of all people, they can collect text of, let's say, newspaper headlines. So how can such corpus help us? Well, basically, such corpus help us to access or to look at the frequency of many information, many words, and it gives us examples. It gives us evidence of patterns of language use, not only language use, but also language form. How often, for example, the word cool is used by a woman or women over 60, for example. We can investigate this. We can also, for example, see in what context such words are used. Also, we can investigate through using a corpus what are the main errors usually encountered by users when they, for example, use this word in, let's say, or those letters from such a country, from a specific country. So there are many, actually, uses for the corpus. We will discuss this later. Before we move on, I would like to say that corpus linguistics is not a branch of linguistics, like phonology or syntax or second language acquisition. Actually, corpus linguistics is a method. It's a way. So it's a set of methods, set of empirical methods for looking or investigating language in means. So it has many applications that we will discuss in a few minutes. So corpus linguistics is thus a method used to obtain and analyze data quantitatively or qualitatively. And when I say quantitatively, we, for example, count the frequency of some words, occurrences. For example, we take, we ask the software used in the analysis to give us some graphs indicating let's say, the decline or the increase in the use of one word. For example, if we're looking at words. So this is quantitatively. Qualitatively, we can look at the text, and then we can give them our feedback, give our explanation for why, for example, this word is not used anymore. Okay, so this is qualitative analysis. All right, so it's not a theory, it's not a separate branch of linguistics, it's a methodology used. It can be used in many different branches, actually. For example, you can use corpus linguistics in syntax. So let's say, for example, someone is studying Arabic and he wants to study Jamal Mudakkar Salim. So he tried to find a corpus for Arabic. He tries to find a collection of texts for Arabic. And then he can, using some software, he can then analyze and then he can analyze the Arabic corpus and try to find the different or natural occurrences, the natural examples of Jama', let's say Jama' al-Taksir or Jama' al-Mudakkar al-Salim or whatever. So, for example, he analyzes, let's say, 1 million sentences, and then he can see if, for example, the thing that he's looking for is still used, how it is used, Okay, can you hear me now? I'm using my computer's mic. Okay, I bought a new computer actually, not to be used, but because it doesn't have Office. So I have to wait until I have the Office programs and then I can use it. Okay, so hopefully it's clear now. I'm not using the external microphone, I'm using the computer microphone. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, it's better than nothing. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, so as I said, we said creative linguistics is not it's not a branch of linguistics, it's a methodology. In other words, it's like a method or a way to analyze the data, to analyze the language. And we gave an example of someone who's studying, let's say, Germanic in Arabic. So he looks at a corpus, and again, corpus is a body of text, and then he looks at this and he tries to analyze it, to see the real occurrence of, let's say, dramatic here. Okay? So, we need a search equality. I think the others, they can hear it. Oh my God. Okay, so please, let your friends, yes, to try again, shukran. Okay, so again, it's not a branch, it's not a theory, it is a method. We use some software to analyze actual data. So let's now look at the different software used in corpus linguistics. So for us to analyze a corpus or a body of text and search for certain words, we want to analyze and search for some words, not only words, but we can also look for phrases actually. We can look at strings, more than one word together. So we need some software. So these software packages are designed for a specific purpose. So each purpose, and there are many different corpora actually, in many countries produced by different institutions, universities. And for each purpose, they have their own software. Some software can be used by other people in other corpora. Like for example, the software called SALA is used by the British National Corpus, the BNC, okay, or by ICE CUP, okay, in Britain. So that it belongs to a university and can be used to search some of the corpora. There is another software called Concordation. This one can be used for the analysis of almost any type of corpus. And one of the let's say the frequently used tools to analyze the different corpora is the wordsmith tool. So Concord and wordless, these are two tools used to analyze and search for words and phrases in the different corpora. Okay, so here you have other examples, and con also is used widely. And if we have time, we would go and try to search some, let's say, we will look for something that you choose, for example, a word, let's say the word lovely, or if you want to look at the word, let's say beautiful, and how this word is being used since, let's say, the 60s. So we can do this, we can analyze, we can trace the different uses of this word. So if we have time, we would use the Unscope software. You can download it for free from this link. And then we can look at free or publicly accessible corpora. Then we can look for any word you like. So if we have time, if we don't have time, I want you to go and try to look for yourself. It's very interesting actually. So why it is useful? Why corpus linguistics is useful? So corpus linguistics can be used to describe language, as I said. it can describe language features, and it can be used to test hypotheses about language. Okay, so for example, if I say, let's take an example from Arabic. Let's say, dramatic field, for example, is not used anymore. So this is a hypothesis for a video. So I can test this hypothesis by using natural language. So I go and I choose a corpora. Unfortunately, we don't have that much Arabic corpora or body of text. So we go and choose a body of text, and then we search for examples of dramatic field. And we can trace it across time, we can trace it across different types of speakers or different types of topics. Okay, so we can test hypotheses about the language. Okay, so let's see, for example, we can also look at the language of learning at the different stages. So we can look at the language of beginners. So there are corpora for language by beginners, by language by intermediate learners, learning by learners. And then such information can provide us very useful knowledge about foreign language acquisition. And it can be used in research, in formulating theories, and also improving learning of the second or foreign language learning. Also, we can use the different corpora for history purposes. So we can track the development of a specific feature in the history of English. Like, for example, we can trace the emergence of the modern word. So if we have a corpora across, let's say, beginning from the 15th century, we can search the corpora for some verbs, let's say, and we can trace the emergence, when was the first time this, let's say, verb introduced, and where it became widely used by the public, for example. So we can look at historical aspects of the language. Sociolinguistics researchers also can make use of linguistic corpus linguistics. So they can look for a specific, let's say, group of people based on age, based on gender, based on ethnicity, and then they can see how the language is different between those groups. Okay? So for example, they can look at the word like as a marker, as a word used between the different groups. Okay, so again, sociolinguistic research can benefit from corpus linguistics as well. And the greatest advantage of the corpus linguistics method is that language researchers don't have to rely on their own examples in native language, or their own intuition. They can rely on real-world text, real-world language. Okay, so, and they can also, of course, have large amounts of authentic, naturally authored language data ready for them, and this data is produced by different types of speakers or writers. So this will help them, as I said again, to prove or disprove, confirm or refute hypotheses about the language. Okay, is it clear, ladies? So different applications of corpus linguistics can be in the field of language learning and teaching, as I said. And also checking regional differences. We look at different dialects, we look at different varieties, so it's useful in sociolinguistics. Also, we can look at gender differences. What is the difference between ladies and men? Old ladies and, let's say, younger ladies. And also, it is very useful to see language change across time. We will see an example of that in a minute. Also, we can look at the languages of style. How is the style different? Because, let's say, groups of people. It is also useful in exegesis, and by exegesis we mean the piling up of dictionaries, how we make dictionaries. It's also useful in discourse analysis, because discourse analysis means we look at text and then we analyze them. So it's really very important for discourse analysis. It provides data for this field. One of the important, actually, uses of the purpose linguistics is the training of machines to recognize natural language. So you can see, for example, in your smartphone sometimes, when you write a message, sometimes it gives you suggestions. Okay, so it's this type of analysis for the different corpora that helps developers of different software to predict what connotations or what common words come together. So sometimes if you write, let's say, sometimes I write Habib, for example, and then على طول يعطيني my phone gives me it's just على طول العادي. فحبيب العادي طبعا كان موجود داخلية مصر. It's based on this. Okay, so it is used such an analysis for different corpora. It is used to train different machines for, let's say, automatic translation, for voice recognition, for spell checkers, we check its spelling, for grammar checkers. So these are all very useful applications of corpus linguistics. Okay, so all of these are the different, let's say, current research areas associated with corpus linguistics. So again, we have computational linguistics. And by computational linguistics, we mean, are you listening? By computational linguistics, we mean it's the field which centers around the use of computers to process or produce human language. Okay, so computational linguistics and corpus linguistics can be seen sometimes as overlapping disciplines. So computational linguistics usually depends on computer readable linguistic data. Alright? Difference between the two actually, between computational linguistics and corpus linguistics can be said that that corpus linguistics gives the data provided for computational linguistics. Sometimes we can say that computational linguistics is the broader term. Okay, so cultural studies also corpus, which is also in cultural studies, and the cultural studies means when we compare between different corpora. We compare the language used, for example, in different countries. One example of the corpora that use English, that is based on English, is a corpus called Kholoud, and Kholoud is a corpus of Indian English. So they can, for example, a linguist or a researcher can look at the corpus of Kholoud, which is again is based on Indian English, and compare it to, let's say, the brown corpus. The brown corpus is a corpus based on English, on the English language. It was one of the first, actually, corpora. Okay, so they can ask, for example, what is the difference between, let's say, the English or the British way of formulating the future tense, and what is the Indian or the English way of formulating, say, grammatical structure. And when we compare the two the different examples given by both scholars. It can be also used in descriptive analysis and pragmatics again, looking at different texts and pragmatics, the different intention of, let's say, speakers or writers. Also in grammar and syntax, we gave examples, historical linguistics, we gave example as well. In language acquisition also, in terms of use, again, we gave an example in language teaching as well. Language variation also, I just gave an example. Okay, so all these are the fields that make great use of purpose-based. So let's take an example of how purpose can be used. Okay, so it can be used to look at the frequency or the distribution of some lexical itemized words. So we can use a top-down approach. Okay, so let's say we want to study the word lovely. So we start with this word, okay, lovely, and we, for example, ask some questions, like in what kind of genre, what kind of type, let's say fiction, news reporting, conversation, academic writing, etc. Do you predict the word lovely to be most common? Okay? We will ask the question, like, for example, what age of the speaker uses lovely the most? Another question can be, do males or females use lovely more? Okay? So we can ask many questions, and then using the different corpora or corpus linguistics, we can get the answer. Okay, sometimes we might start without specifying an example in a word. Sometimes we can start using the bottom-up approach. Okay, so we might ask questions like, which vocabulary? So we don't know what is the word now. Okay, so we start from the bottom. And we don't pre-select any word for analysis. We just ask questions like, which vocabulary or which word distinguish, let's say, advertising text from other kinds of writing. Okay, so we look at plethora of advertisements and regularly writing. We might ask the questions like, what is the, or let's look at some examples that distinguish people who are learning with academic writing of native speakers and non-native speakers. Okay, so what are the most common words used in the writing of, again, native speakers and non-native speakers? Okay, we can also look for word meanings and collocations. Again, we can see the meaning of the word. We can also see how different words can co-occur, they come together. Okay, so this is an example of an analysis of a purpose. You can see here they are looking at that word, which is meaningless, and they want to get, okay, so these are highlighted, these are the words they are looking for. And as you can see, they give you also the context for the whole context for where these functions in. Okay. As I said, we can look for collocations, like, for example, utterly and absolutely. Those words, do they come always together? Do they collocate? So these words combinations, we call them collocations, suggest that language has units of meanings that are bigger than single themselves. This is an analysis given by one of the softwares of corpus linguistics. So if you can see here, for example, the words utterly and absolutely, they always come together. Ridiculous and lies, miserable and essential, different and necessary, they all become very closely together. So it gives us we can conclude that language does not consist of single words. Sometimes we have, let's say, constituents of structures larger than one single word. So again, purpose linguistics can help us identify connotations in a language. Okay, another example for the use of purpose linguistics is that we can, as I said, see the different change of a particular linguistic feature, for example, looking at a word, looking at how it is used, is it not used anymore. Okay, so, for example, the modern verb shall, okay, like will, sometimes they say, here we have someone called Baba, he said that the modern verb shall is in decline. Okay, so it's used less and less. So is this true? Can we examine his hypothesis that the word shall is in decline? Or in other words, is getting used less and less. So how can we test this? How can we test his hypothesis of self-ability? So through using purpose linguistics, through looking at different corpora, we can trace the use of shall. Alright? So we can ask questions like, is it all, let's say, is it true that shall is in decline? Is it all uses of the word shall, or only specific context of using shall? Is it declining in English, British English, or American English? Okay? So we can, if you can look at the following slide. By comparing different corpora, American English and British English, alright, at roughly 30-year intervals, across 30 years, let's say, we can trace, or we can confirm, or we can examine if Barber's claim that shall is in decline. Okay? So the researcher here looks at, this is British English, this is American English, and as I said, he looked through the years. So he looked at 30 years intervals, like he looked from between 1901 and 1931. 30 years different, 30 years different, 30 years different. And by blood, if you can see blood, brown, these are names of corpora, a lot of corpus. So the British corpus, the National British corpus, the brown is an American corpus. Okay, so he looked at different corpora, as I said, across years, and he came up with this graph. So as you can see that, in British English, the use of shall is really in decline. Okay, and also the use of shall is also in decline in American English, but the rate is different actually. So in the 90s, if you see the American use had stopped to decline, we took a steady direction. Okay? In this chart, or in this picture, you can see that the findings is the name of the corpus unit, and we'll give you examples. And we give you the example, I don't know if you can see it, but just see. It will show you the context in which shall convey. So, for example, where shall we go? This is a question. What shall we? This is the question. What shall? Where shall? Okay, so if you can see that it came in questions in, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, 5 times, whereas in regular sentences, declarative sentences only came in 2 examples. So by counting the examples, they will say, for example, shall is in decline in declarative sentences, but it is not in decline in interrogative sentences, for example. Okay, so they can come up with different conclusions by looking at the different corpora. Okay, so another question that we can also answer is what would you say function? Okay, so we can look at the other alternatives of Shan, like very or the very two. Again, we can look at those two structures. And also we trace the emergence, how and when they firstly emerged, and also the trend of using them. Is it used by younger generations, by older generations? Is it used in academic context, for example? Okay? We can also answer questions like what seems to be driving these changes. So we don't only look at changes, we also can look at what drives these changes. Okay, so we can look at the different contexts, especially the social context. However, such questions cannot be always answered fully, because language sometimes is just changes just as human beings. It's natural phenomena that changes naturally. Okay. Also, there are other explanations or reasons for the change that we need also to investigate outside the limits of purpose linguistics. Okay, so let's see example 4. It's from the Arabic language. Now, the purpose linguistics is also very useful in studying, let's say, religious texts like this study by the University of Kholoud. They made a special corpus for the Quranic, let's say, terminology. So they call this project the Quranic Arabic corpus. The corpus consists of 77,000, almost 77,000 words in the Quran. So the aim of this project is to provide morphological and syntactic annotation for researchers who want to study the language of the Quran. So as you can see, here, let me change the slide. As you can see here, this is an example or a screenshot from that program. So it starts, for example, Surat al-Mulk, تبارك الذي بيده الملك. So it gives you an analysis for each word in the Quran. So تبارك is the verb, الذي is a relative clause, بيده is the bit, is a preposition, يد is a noun, haf is a pronoun, okay, and mulk is a noun, and this is khabar. Can you see how much work is done here? And then they could try with the respect for the alright? So it's very, it's not an easy word. وهكذا يقول بالذات فيه حتى يرجع أنت يستفيد منه. And most of the people there, when I read the name, كلهم كانوا أصلاً about it. It's واحد باكستاني فأنا اسمه واحد جزائري إلا. But most of them are non-Arabic speakers, they do not know it as well. So this is really very useful for people who want to study the vocabulary of the Quran. It's even useful after this analysis. You can come up with grammatical rules that you can, let's say, use to teach people new lessons, to teach them the language of the Quran. It's really very useful. So can you see that? You can read further about it. Okay, you say the Quranic Arabic purpose. Maybe if you want to further study, for example, you want to do your master's after you finish your bachelor, you can, for example, apply for each university. This is really very, let's say, the purpose linguistics is very widely studied in England, in the UK. So maybe for your master's you go study at one of the British universities and you are the major at, say, purpose linguistics. And you do something for the Arabic language. Okay, so we come now to the benefits of corpora or corpus linguistics. I'll stop saying. many curves findings afterwards seem unsurprising, so we know the findings. Yet, we didn't necessarily predict that we can say that they're proven, so we need something to help us prove or confirm the different hypotheses regarding language. And corpus linguistics can give us a very sound and a very solid finding to confirm or refute our hypotheses regarding language. Mill also said that the most immediate use of Querula is as a corrective or impressionistic and anecdotal observation or perspective change. Okay, so sometimes we might have some impressions regarding languages. We might sometimes have some like observations or we suspect that, for example, this change might have happened because of that, or it has happened during that period. So we might have speculation, we might have hypotheses about the different aspects of language or the different phenomena of language. Clever linguistics can provide us with the correct confirmation or, let's say, solid foundation to conclude whether these are correct or not correct. So it helps us do empirical study, not only speculation, not only ideas, not only opinions. It helps us build our knowledge on scientific foundation. Okay, so we use it to correct impressions, ideas, speculation, observations of language phenomena. Still, it has its limitations and criticisms. So, clever linguistics cannot provide us with negative evidence. In other words, it shows us how the language is used, but it will not give us how the language is not used. Okay? And also, they don't explain the results. For example, when we asked about lovely, why lovely is more common in fiction, a conversation than, let's say, in news broadcast. So, such answers cannot be, such questions cannot be answered by clever linguistics. We need to think to get the answer. We need to think to explain. Okay. Also, there is no social context for the vocabulary, for the different linguistic features. Okay, so we might have the conversation, but we don't have other people, we don't have the people who produce this conversation. So we only study one part of the coin. So the picture is not complete. Okay, so again, the advantages of corpus linguistics, they are useful as an empirical approach. As I said, empirical approach means study, scientific study. It's not only our opinion. So it's very useful to study the facts or study the topics in an empirical scientific way. Okay? For non-native speakers like us, it's very important sometimes. It helps us to access the native or the language of native speakers. It helps us sometimes to find the correct use by native speakers of the linguistic feature. Also the findings, for example, if I conducted the research using, let's say, the brown curve of American English, and I said, I found this and that. Someone can come after me because the data is there in the corpus. Someone can come after me and check that my findings are really true. He can replicate, he can repeat my study because the data is easily accessible. The data is there. Okay? So for Stubb, he said that corpus linguistics is as important as the invention of telescopes in astronomy. Okay? Another disadvantage or limitation of corpus linguistics is that the data needs to be sampled carefully to be representative. Okay, because we have so many data. we need to be careful when we take some of this data. It has to be representative. So we have to check our methods of selecting data. And also, because we have like a massive amount of information in the different curricula, sometimes we might feel lost. Sometimes we might feel, let's say, overwhelmed. You feel that you are lost, you are drowned in numbers and words and language, to the extent that you lose focus. You don't know what you were looking for. Okay, again, we don't also provide the evidence. We give us only how long did you use it, not how long did it use. Okay, so finally we need to look at what types of curricula are there. Some of the most famous curricula. Again, curricula means body of text. So we have general curricula, such as the British National Purpose, the BNC, or the Bank of English. Okay, so these contain large variety of both written and spoken language, as well as different text types. Okay, they have text by different speakers, with different ages, from different ranges, from different social classes. So it's a rich bank of data of English. And if you have any research, you can easily access these curricula to help you in your research. There are also some chronic curricula such as the SWOT and the SOUND. And these are recorded language, and the data collected for one specific purpose in time. Okay? So these chronic curricula, they only have the language of a specific area, like for example the American English in the 90s language. We have also something called historical curricula, such as the Archer and Health and Corpus in Norway, the Denmark, I think. And it consists of service text from earlier periods of time, so these are historical curricula. And the time usually spans, you will find information or data from 3-5 centuries ago. Okay? So they give a coverage of various stages of language that you can trace to let's say the usage of some English words, like for example the word meat in English. In the Middle Ages, meat was used to denote different types of meat. Chicken meat, let's say, fish meat. Now, in modern English, it means something else. So you can use the Archer or Helsinki purpose to trace the historical uses of the word. We have also something called learner curricula, and an example of that is the International Purpose of Learning English and the Cambridge Learning Corpus. And these are collections of data produced by foreign language learners. So everything there is produced by foreigners. Okay, and it includes essays and also academic writing. So this one is also used if you want to compare between the language of native and non-native speakers, if you want to compare learners based on the background, the modern language, then you can use this curriculum. Also there is a curriculum for studying variety. Like for example, the International Purpose of English and the Freiburg English dialect purpose. So we have different varieties, different dialects of English. Okay? So any question, ladies? Any question, ladies? Okay, again, so because I didn't have enough time actually to go over the slides, inshallah, for the final exam, I'll go over them and I will polish them more. And inshallah, it will be much better over there. So hopefully you have ladies benefited from the topic of today. Inshallah, next time we're going to discuss another topic, another new topic, which is the Englishes of the world. The English taking different destinations. Okay, so we want us later to view an example or look at one example of how to search for a word in any types of corpus, like for example the British corpus. If you want, let's stay outside. So let's do a practical session, the practical part, and look for a specific word. I will try the hand to open the British or the Bank of English, and we can look for a word together. Okay, Rehan, she says, where can I find the slides? Inshallah, once maybe I finish getting the slides, and you will find it in Blackboard. Okay, I can't upload them now into Blackboard because they are not yet 100% polished and edited. Okay, Reham, I said that, inshallah, once I finish editing and polishing the slides, inshallah, I will put them in the Blackboard content. Okay, so because they are not yet 100% polished, I need to work on them, and then I can put it for you. So it might take some time. Plus, I'm really very busy. So inshallah, once I finish this, inshallah, you will find it before the one after we finish. I'm trying now to look for I'm trying to choose a cursor, and then we will use it to look for any lexical item actually. Okay, hi. You still have like 10 minutes, right? I want to show you something. Okay. I want you to see something. We will search for some lexical items using Can you see ladies the with choral concordance? Can you see that? Can you see the page? Can you see that ladies the what page I'm trying to share with you? Okay, so this is an example of a corpus, and it has a software. It has an online. This is an online corpus. If you, for example, in the search engine here, you put anywhere, let's say, for example, let's say, chocolate, okay? And then you can here you have different options, say sensitive, and you want to, for example, the context around it. You want to see, for example, how many characters, the language, you have also the different characters, languages to choose from. Okay, and then do some search for the word chocolate. Okay, so it gives you results for the occurrence of the word chocolate. And you can see different contexts with a different, let's say, linguistic context in which the word chocolate appears in. So for example, Linda truffles, Easter Valentine's, 40% of chocolate. So this is obviously an advertisement. This one is also an advertisement. Okay? Let's see if we can look at maybe some examples of chocolate. Let's see the other day, my daughter asked me, Mommy, shall we say practice with the C or shall we say the practice with the S? So let's see, can we use the practice with the S? And it appears in which context? So, why is this reference from the word for practice itself here? So again, if you click on the word, it will take you to the source where it was taken from. So as you can see, practice here, to practice, it shows that this is the verb. Practice with the S, not with the C. Okay? To practice, you must practice before you practice. Okay? So it shows you that practice here is for the verb. Whereas practice with the C is used as a noun. Okay? Let's see if we can use an Arabic example. Let's see if we can search for the word makeup in Arabic. Can you find it in Arabic language text? Can you see it? Can you see like this? I'm going to see something more. Oh, that's insane. Maybe because we are using, we're using Arabic text. So this is why we need Java. Okay, I'm afraid it will not I'm afraid to say, I need to stop the recording because I'm afraid the time will end, and then we will not be able to. It took time for the sharing facility to start and also to stop. So, at the beginning, let me just talk about what I said. It gave me examples, Arabic examples, with the word makeup, and then okay, this is a very elaborate okay, so you can answer questions if you have questions, for example. Makeup, for example, the word makeup is used by Arabic speakers more than the word, for example, maquillage, for example, because the word the French, maquillage, and makeup. You can also, for example, I remember one of my friends, she was doing the research on the whitening products. But she was looking at the differences with whitening products like Serehey. And you can, for example, use such software that you cut the different products out, and you can search for the whitening products and see if it's, for example, the different business come from certain places, from certain pages, let's say, Indian pages. Okay? If you can have this ability of knowing the source of the text. Okay, so, all in all, it can help us to answer many questions. So it's very useful, again, to arrive or to find scientific ways to study language. It's not only your ideas, your opinions, your speculations, by using the different corpora and the corpus linguistics, you can arrive at conclusions that are based on scientific empirical methods. Okay? So I think I need to stop the recording now, but the sharing facility is still having the problem. So inshallah, see you next time. And try just to look for vocabulary, and put the link for me. So you can look for the exercise. You can use it to look for vocabulary, and there are many different paragraphs, but not all of them you can use without permission. You need sometimes passwords. This one can be used for anyone. Okay? Any question ladies before I end the recording? Okay, so inshallah see you next week week. And all the best inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.